it's week 5, players. It's time to locate your low back. This is called the low back locator. We'll be using a combination of a Quadratus ball for very deep release and relief in the low back, as well as some mobilization and a very challenging stabilization challenge this week as well. So our check-in is a revisit from week 1, which is the diaphragm vacuum. How's your breathing going? We isolate the respiratory diaphragm. You take a big gut breath, then a big rib breath. Exhale everything. And at the end of exhale, let go and repeat again. Breathe belly, then ribs, then exhale. And release. And grab hold of your Quadratus ball and place it in your low back, but not directly on your low back. Let's do it indirectly by placing it on the waist. So where's the waist? The waist is between the pelvis and the rib cage. There's a nice soft tissue trough here full of all the familiar core muscles of the lower torso. So this is a great way to get passive traction in your lower back. So if you frequently have low back pain, you don't always want to just rub at the lower back. If the back is painful, you may want to talk to tissues that interface there. So when you're on your side, on a superficial level, the thing that's immediately touched is a combination of the latissimus dorsi, which is a huge back. Basically, it's a low back, pelvis, and shoulder muscle. It crosses across the waist. So you're talking to that latissimus dorsi. You're also talking to the external abdominal obliques, the internal abdominal obliques, and the transversus abdominis. And then deep to that, there are some really important structural muscles. I mean, every muscle is a muscle structure, but the Quadratus Lumborum and psoas in particular. And I wish I had illustrations to show you, but you can Google those right now and take a look. So you're here and you're breathing, and then you can tuck and untuck the pelvis, or you can rock forward and back, and all of those will serve to give some gentle mobilization to these soft tissues. Then move the Quadratus ball north to the rib cage. So similar to what we're doing here, but now we're in a bony region, a bony interface. And start to concentrate more deeply on your breathing if you didn't breathe while I was talking anatomy before. Place your top hand up on the rib cage and breathe into the ribs and the ball simultaneously. Temporarily hold your breath, create tension in those intercostals, and then on exhale, let them squish together. Breathe again, breathing into the Quadratus ball, hand into your hand, hold the breath, and create tension in the intercostals, and exhale, let go. Now, this is the low back locator, but muscles that cross from the back of your rib cage also interface into a very famous connective tissue interface in your low back called the thoracolumbar fascia, which is why I don't want to just talk to my lower back. I want to talk to the things that relate to the lower back. So obviously the low back is carrying the load of your upper body all the time. Finally, cross your leg across and migrate the ball. Don't just roll it, but see if the ball can squish and scrunch the soft tissues from the side of the rib cage towards the back of the rib cage, and that way we'll get a really good scrunch of the internal abdominal oblique interface, which is a wonderful thing to do when you are trying to relieve your lower back. And then reach your opposite arm, this is my left arm, out and take a few breaths here. So if you don't have the range of motion to get the knee to the ground, you can always put a block here. By the way, you can have a block underneath your head as well, or you can place your hand on a wall here to stabilize yourself. Just a few breaths there, and then let's change sides. Oh my gosh, that's like a miracle. It feels so good. Don't be surprised if you're not taller when you finish this sequence. All right, so you're gonna spend about 1.5 to 2 minutes in each position with the ball in the waist and on the rib cage. And so on the first side, I was busy talking about muscles and what this does rather than what you're doing. So here, breathe into the ball and allow your body and your body's weight to maximally give way into gravity and give way into the ball. So you just want to feel like your body is more heavy than it is, that you implore gravity to take hold of even more of you. And then shift forward and back, or tuck and untuck the pelvis while breathing. By the way, if laying on your arm is uncomfortable, you can always place a pillow or a block here. Then migrate that ball to the rib cage. And this time, activating the upper trunk muscles, those upper intercostals. You breathe in, hold, create tension in the intercostals, and exhale, let go. And as you exhale, this top hand can add a little squish. Now, if you don't have the range of motion in your shoulder to do that, you can also just scrunch like your elbow into your ribs like it's a wing. Inhale, hold breath, create tension, and exhale, deflate. So the maneuver here is, it's not that you're trying to roll the ball into the ribs. You want to have the ball adhere to the skin. And so there's a stick to the skin. It creates shear and it tractions the soft tissues towards your spine. And so I don't have a camera shot of this, but if you looked at my back, what you would see is a bunch of folds of skin coming towards the spine. And that is how you're going to get a stretch between the layers here and an increased mobilization of how the intercostals feather into the ribs. It's a very, very firm attachment, but it's nice to improve the elasticity and the pliability there. So reach the opposite arm out and pin this thigh downwards with body weight of that top arm. And take a few more breaths here. Knowing that one of the specific tissues we're talking to here is the internal abdominal oblique insertion into the thoracolumbar fascia. And release. Super. All right, you will feel a little bit drowsy after you've done that just because of the long heldness of that. And by the way, it might seem like you're not doing a lot, but that is a less is more technique. There's a huge benefit to the amount of time you spend with the pressure of the gorgeous ball. All right, find yourself in your best standing position, skull over ribs over pelvis. Activate your glutes, create a little bit of tension in your torso, and then take your right hand and press it into the ribs that you were pressing just a moment ago. Slide your ribs off to the side and then come into your lateral flexion and extension stretch. Remember this frontal plane movement that we visited in a different shape a few weeks ago, in week 2, in spine time. So breathe and lengthen yourself. Reach through the arm, activate this outer hip, even try to move it away, and get some detail across that low back in its side perch. Then change sides. This hand presses the ribs away from you and up and over you go. So the ribs are, I'm actually trying to move my ribs as high up as possible. And what that's going to do is it's going to maximize the lateral flexion on the one side, which invariably will extend and expand the stretch on the opposite side. But it's not just a passive stretch. There's a lot of muscle engagement happening here. And if I could, I would split this mat in two. There's so much work going down through my right hip and leg right now. All right, and then up you come. And then finally, we're going to do a little stabilization exercise. And this is a side plank. And this is for core stability, especially in the lower back. Again, there's many ways to strengthen your back, but I love doing work that really helps to build the embodiment and the embodied mapping of the side of the body. It's a huge benefit, and we kind of, it gets ignored by our daily life. So you can split the legs in two, and you want to have head, rib cage, pelvis in one line. Depress your shoulder, meaning move your shoulder away from your neck, and then prop yourself up. It's nice to do this in front of a mirror if you can, to try to check that the pelvis and the rib cage aren't rotating or going akimbo. And this will force all those obliques and all those side waist muscles that you just woke up on the Quadratus ball to do the right thing here. So you can set a timer for yourself and do this anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, even all the way up to 2 if that's your endurance. And I don't have my timer on, but I think I'm close to 45 seconds right now, and I'm gonna switch sides. So I'm gonna split the difference for you. Crossing the feet, coming into that scissors, looking down, shoulders, rib cage, pelvis all on the same line, depressing that shoulder, and then up you go. To accelerate this, or to make this even more challenging, you can also stack the top leg on top. This is the hip that I just had surgery on, so there's no way you're gonna get me to put that other leg on top right now. But come back in a few more weeks and I'll give that a try. So again, pelvis and rib cage trying to stay in concert with each other, just as if you were standing and taking a walk, keeping your standing position rather connected. And then release. So anywhere between, again, 30 seconds to a minute, or even upwards to 2. Then coming into your relaxed, rested, half corpse pose, and let's recheck our diaphragm vacuum. Inhale, belly, ribs. Exhale. So you're gonna do that a couple of times, and as you're doing it, you're being aware of whether you're feeling more stretch in the diaphragm. There should be more movement available to your ribs, especially after what you did with the Quadratus ball, and also the sense that this movement becomes less and less tension filled, that you really feel a sense of spaciousness or ease inside your body when you do this. All right, well, that was a low back location. Next week is a wrap up for us.